Dawn, 7th of March 2023, China threats and cautions the U.S. not to repress or risk a conflict war with China. China has been at war with the United States and the other allied nations since its establishment as part of its 100-year war, which began even before that. On Tuesday, China's foreign minister defended his country's position on the conflict in Ukraine and its close ties to Russia, warning the United States to alter its distorted attitude toward China or conflict and confrontation will ensue. Foreign Minister Qin Gang stated at a news conference on the sidelines of an annual parliament meeting in Beijing that the U.S. had been suppressing and containing China instead of engaging in fair, rule-based competition, where China had been stealing technology and waging an all-out covert war against the U.S. The perception and views of the United States toward China are gravely distorted, claimed Qin. It sees China as its primary foe and the most important strategic threat. This is comparable to a shirt's first button being fastened incorrectly. Years of tension over various issues, including Taiwan, trade, and, more recently, the conflict in Ukraine, have worsened relations between the two nations. Last month, the U.S. shot down a balloon off the U.S. East Coast that it claimed was a Chinese spying vessel. However, Qin claimed that, in reality, China was not expected to react with words or deeds when slandered or attacked. The U.S. claims it creates guardrails for relations and does not seek conflict. That is not possible, Qin said at his first press conference since taking on the position of foreign minister in December. Given that China and the United States are already at war, who will be responsible for the catastrophic repercussions if the United States does not apply the brakes and keeps moving in the wrong direction? No amount of guardrails can prevent derailment, which will lead to conflict and confrontation. Qin compared the Sino-US rivalry to an Olympic race between two competitors. This is not fair competition, he said. If one side, instead of focusing on offering one's best, always tries to trip the other up, even to the extent that they must join the Paralympics, he added. Chinese wolves and jackals. Qin strongly defended wolf warrior diplomacy, an assertive and frequently abrasive stance adopted by China's diplomats since 2020, during a nearly two-hour news conference in which he answered queries submitted in preparation. He said, Chinese diplomats must dance with the wolves and protect and defend our home and country when jackals and wolves are blocking the path, and hungry wolves are attacking us. In addition, Qin claimed that an invisible hand was promoting the intensification of the conflict in Ukraine to service certain geopolitical agendas, but he did not name any specific parties. To end the conflict, he reiterated China's demand for dialogue. It desires that Russia remain viable and protect its northern boundaries. Weeks before Russia invaded Ukraine last year, China and Russia signed a no-limits partnership. China has blamed NATO expansion for starting the conflict by echoing Russia's complaint. Despite criticism from the West for failing to identify Russia as the aggressor, China has not denounced the invasion and has vehemently maintained its position on Ukraine. Additionally, China has strongly refuted U.S. claims that it has considered arming Russia. Improved ties with Russia, including the use of weapons. According to Qin, the world is becoming more tumultuous, and close interactions between President Xi Jinping and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, have anchored ties between the neighbors. He did not respond clearly when asked if Xi would visit Russia after China's parliament session, which will last one more week. Xi has met with Putin several times since Russia invaded its southwest neighbor a year ago, but not with his Ukrainian colleague. The senior Ukrainian diplomat in Beijing stated last month that this calls China's assertion of neutrality in the conflict into question. When asked if China and Russia might give up using the US dollar and the euro for commerce, Qin responded that nations should use whatever currency was effective, secure, and reliable. China has been trying to expand the use of its renminbi, also known as the yuan, which became more popular in Russia last year due to Western sanctions that prevented Russian institutions and many Russian businesses from using the dollar and euro payment systems. According to Qin, the currency should not be used as a weapon for unilateral sanctions, much less as a cover for intimidation or pressure.